Hello, everybody. All right. We're going to start this nice and soon. We made a countdown. Okay. So we're going to be trying some new technology that one of the runners here, Blenderiste, created. I'm not 100% sure how it works, so we're going to see how this goes. But apparently it has a built-in countdown feature.
They say great science is built on the shoulders of giants. Not here. That happens.
Okay.
All right, let's get started. This first test involves something the lab boys call repulsion gel. You're not part of the control group, by the way.
Hang on.
Gel. Last poor son of a gun got blue paint. All joking aside, that did happen. Broke every bone in his legs. Tragic, but informative. Or so I'm told. The lab boys just informed me that I should not have mentioned the control group. They're telling me I ought to stop making these pre-recorded messages. That gave me an idea. Make more pre-recorded messages. I pay the bill. For this next test, we put nanoparticles in the gel. In layman's terms, that's a billion little gizmos that are going to travel into your bloodstream and pump experimental genes and RNA molecules and so forth into your tumors. Now, if you don't have tumors, well,
Okay.
if you sat on a folding chair in the lobby,
We should be starting shortly. This is a speedrun of Portal 2 speedrun mod. This is not the vanilla game of Portal 2. This mod removes cutscenes and waiting times from the game so that speedruns can be done more quickly. But there's no changes to the core gameplay.
Oh, in case you got...
Okay. This is a completely new countdown technology, so we'll see what happens here. But Blenderiste will be starting the countdown.
Testing will begin in 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Okay, so I'm assuming that the turret you see on Blenderiste's game is BSS's position in his game. So we should be able to actually see where the other runner is in game, if I understand what this is. Blenderiste, I think, just made this recently. And it's the first time I've ever seen it. Yeah, right now we're just waiting for the start. It should be any second now. Okay, looks like it's counting them off. And we should be starting. All right, so as I was saying before, this is a speedrun mod of Portal 2. So the runs can be 30 to 50 minutes, depending on skill level, rather than over an hour like it would normally take. This is done by removing cutscenes and waiting times and other things from the main game so that speedruns can be done more quickly.
Button-based testing caused this emergency. Don't worry. The odds of this happening twice.
These first few maps are mostly just movements. As you can see, Blenderiste is on Portal Carousel, and now so is BSS. And yeah, they'll just be solving this chamber as it's normally done in the game. Oh yeah, Blender's timer did not start. He should be recording demos, so we should be able to get a time from him at the end of the run. So I'll let you guys know what his time is when he finishes. Unfortunately, his timer didn't seem to work though.
Good. Because of the technical difficulties we are currently experiencing, your test environment.
Here, Blender gets a large speed boost by landing on an angled surface that's at the bottom of that long drop that he just fell down.
That either refuses to or is incapable of listening to reason.
And yeah, after that though, this map is pretty much just completing the chamber normally. There's nothing too special that happens in the game until a little bit later, because the puzzles are relatively simple.
Some emergency testing may require prolonged interaction with lethal military androids. Rest assured that all lethal military androids have been taught to read and provide.
As you can see, Blenderiste is shoving a cube through a door here, and when the cube goes through the door, the chamber detects that you've trapped yourself, and it will open the door automatically for you. This is possible because when you place a portal near something like a door or a glass wall, it will remove collision from that door or glass wall for some objects.
Congratulations. The exit door is now open.
Blenderiste now is going to do something called a portal stand, where he's going to stand on one side of a portal and quickly place down the opposite color at another position so that he can teleport there very quickly. And you're going to see BSS will probably do the same thing. You can see on the right. There he does that. Oh, he missed it. Missed the portal stand. It's a little finicky. You do have to. It will try to push you out, and then you can shoot underneath the cube and grab it out the other side of the portal. Blenderiste has a bit of a slower stream at the moment. He's completing a button save glitch where he's forcing the button to activate. We'll see BSS do it here at a bit of a cleaner frame rate. Yeah, so BSS is coming up to the same trick. I'm assuming he'll do it. Where if he will set this up so that he'll walk across the button for exactly one tick, and in doing this, the button will turn on but not turn off. He missed it there. But he can then keep the button on without having anything to hold it down. The next two maps are pretty standard. Blender is on Wake Up, and he just completed Secret Panel, and those two maps are pretty much completed, as you'd expect. Major cutscenes are removed from both of them because of the speedrun mod. As you can see, the cutscene with Wheatley that BSSN would normally have to deal with now can be completely skipped by shooting a portal over there. Wheatley actually isn't even in this map on speedrun mod. And Blenderiste just dropped it directly into the incinerator without having to wake up GLaDOS like you would normally have to do in full game. Other than that, Blenderiste is using some portal standing to get around the map a little bit more quickly than you normally would. Nothing seriously technically challenging about the incinerator route, though. You can see BSS hopping through Wake Up. It's definitely one of the less technically advanced maps. Here at Blenderiste, it looks like he missed the flame. It's hard to tell. The frame rate's not great, but he flung from a wall that's near the exit so that he could skip the actual puzzle.
Here we are.
Okay.
The incinerator room. Be careful not to trip over any parts of me that didn't get completely burned when you threw them down here.
And there, Blenderiste was able to abuse
Good. You have
the cube. Or I guess the way that the map was designed, he was able to see the ending portal surface before he was supposed to.
Luckily, we haven't started testing.
It's a little bit hard to see it because of the frame rate, but you can see BSSS will likely do something similar when he gets to the chamber.
Discovered I have a sort of black box.
Here there's a pretty important trick on dual laser that Blenderiste is trying to perform. If you activate the two laser nodes in the map, one after the other, the door will actually be activated for about a tick. And if you're pushing up against the door during that tick, the door will open for you. And so you can only be activating one node at a time and still complete the chamber by doing this.
I've really let the place go since you killed me.
You can see BSS doing the fling trick. He almost got it. He was a little bit too far away. Should get it now, though. That's all good. Blender is doing one of the harder tricks in the game, where he's going to do something called a reportal. As I said earlier, when you stand inside of a portal and shoot the opposite color, it will push you out of that portal to try and prevent the portal standing trick that was being done earlier. Byproduct of this is that you can use that speed boost it gives you by pushing you out to make longer jumps and get higher flings than you normally would be able to. And this will be used several times throughout the run.
Don't let that horrible person thing discourage you. It's just a data point. If it makes you feel any better, science has now
You can see BSS is now on dual laser, and he's he's going to do the same trick where he just switches the laser and the door opens for him because he was pushing up against it.
People emerge from suspension terribly
All right.
One moment. You are navigating these text windows faster than I can build them. So
Okay.
feel free to
Blenderise stream seems to be better. He used a strafe there to cut off some of the faith plates you would normally have to
destroying this facility.
cross. BSS doing a safer route here where he's actually going to take the platform. This is not a bad idea. It doesn't lose a ton of time. Maybe, 5 to 10 seconds of time lost doing that, but you're just about guaranteed to successfully complete it. So we're going to see what route Blender decides to do here. He's going to do a super reportal where he stacks several reportals on top of each other to get a bigger flame. And so here what he's going to do is he's going to try to fling himself up to the exit. He's having some trouble with it, though.
Results were highly informative. They could not. Good luck.
He's struggling a little bit with this trick.
You're not breathing real air. It's too expensive to pump this far down.
And there he successfully does it, though.
Let's see what the next test is. Oh, advanced.
We'll see what BSS decides to do here.
Have fun soaring through the air
Whether he
without
does
a care in
the
the
same
world.
strafe Blender did, or if he goes for a safer route. Looks like he's going to go for a safer route here,
15 acres of broken glass. I
where he
must
places the portal on this platform down here, and then uses the portal to get up. Still skips those aerial faith plates that he would have otherwise had to take, but it is slightly slower than the strafe.
Sometimes there's still
Not by
trash
very much, though. It's much
standing
safer.
around, smelling and being useless. Try to avoid the garbage hurtling towards
Blender's stream is
Remember
lagging quite a
before
bit
when I was
again.
talking about smelly garbage standing around being useless? That was
Um,
Did you know that people with
yeah,
guilty
nothing
consciences are more
super tricky about what Blender is doing here. It's really hard to see
I'm sorry.
what it
I don't know
is.
why that went off.
Oh, here we see BSS doing
Interesting science fact.
the triple reportal route where he's going to... Oh, that's interesting. Never mind, he only did one reportal, and that was enough to get himself up here. And so now he's going to do a setup. The same button glitch we saw earlier. It is base driven. I thought that might be the case. I wasn't sure though. I'll call him base driven. That's a cool name. Here Blenderiste, in his pretty low frame rate here, is going to perform a trick to skip this puzzle by flinging the cube up in front of the laser so the panels go down, and then the panels will bounce back up and just barely boost him to the exit. Your base driven is just finishing up chapter 2. Bridge intro here, what Blenderiste is on. This map is pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot done differently to what you would normally do. Little things like, you know, jumping across that gap there and just you know, small optimizations, but no serious changes to the route against someone who's casually playing through the map. BSS having using an interesting route that involves using the faith plate multiple times, so he doesn't have to shoot too much while he's in the air. Blender is going to do another one of the more difficult tricks in the game, where he's going to use a reportal to gain a lot of speed and use that to fling himself to the exit, grabbing the cube on the way. It looks like he missed the reportal there. Is probably why he didn't quite make it. And there he does it. So that's a tricky route, but it is quite fast if you can do it within an attempt or two. And here BSS on Ricochet, and we'll see if he does. It looks like he's going to do the same route Blender did. Let's see if he does it. And he gets it first try. That's good. Turret intro, Blenderiste just finished. Yeah, there's not a whole lot different about that either. It's just optimizations using portals to get around the map more quickly than walking. And here Blenderiste coming up on laser relays, where he's going to use the same trick as in dual laser to activate only some of the nodes at one time, and using the one tick trick to get through the door without having actually completed the puzzle.
So don't actually do it.
Here, Blenderiste is going to take advantage of the boost you get from a turret shooting you while you're in midair to launch himself to where the cube is. Frame rate's not great on that stream, but it's, you know, we've seen worse. We'll see what route BSS does on Bridge the Gap. Looks like he's going to go for a safe route, which is advisable if you're not completely confident going into the harder strat. The safe route's pretty close to the intended solution, but it's not too much slower.
In fact, you did so well. I'm going to know.
Blenderiste doing one of the few maps in the game where there's really no serious optimizations or anything versus a casual playthrough, is you just have to do the intended route quickly.
This next test involves turrets. You remember them, right?
The BSS coming up on turret and show. Blenderiste has a few maps of lead. They're on the same chapter still. So it's not horribly far apart, but it's a couple of the shorter maps of lead Blenderiste has. And as Blenderiste advances into chapter 4. As you can see, Blenderiste just going right through something that was originally a cutscene type section of the game.
To maintain a constant testing cycle.
There it's hard to tell, but Blenderiste grabbed the cube without using the bridge by just grabbing it, really. Just using portals to get over there and picking it up himself.
The point is, yesterday was your birthday.
He also used a reportal in there. The frame rate's not quite good enough to see that, so we'll see if BSS or if base driven. I'm sorry, if base driven does a similar route.
Well, I've been working on a belated birthday present for you. Wow.
So this is a map that has a lot of routes that I've seen people use that Blenderiste is on. And so we're going to see what he does.
It's right here in your file.
Yeah, so he does a route that's pretty popular that a lot of safer, that's a lot safer because an alternative route involves just dropping the cube on the laser, and if that misses, then it's really quite hard to recover. So going for a safe route here in a full game run is not the worst idea.
Surprise waiting for you after this next test.
So Blenderiste coming up on triple laser. This is another map where we're going to use the trick of activating multiple laser nodes at once and pushing through the door that way. And he's going to actually activate all three by basically spamming all three of them, moving the cube back and forth, and getting through the door that way. All right, so Blenderiste is about to escape this first set of test chambers. He's going to use a trick to basically get to the exit more quickly, where he's going to portal over there to activate the trigger for the power to turn off. He missed it, though. He was supposed to use another portal to get to the exit faster, but he missed that, so he ended up having to just hop over there. Actually, speaking of hopping, I guess I can go over what that is. It's basically just strafing, using strafing to move faster. You actually don't use the W key at all while bunny hopping forwards. Only you might use it briefly to get some speed at the beginning, but you can gain quite a lot of speed by only strafing. It's like air strafing, but on the ground. Blenderiste missing a hop over the fence there and deciding to go around. So we can see BSS doing column blocker, where he gets both of those cubes. Column blocker is an unfortunate map where there is some RNG-like behavior. He doesn't go for the reportal, he goes for something safer here. There's some RNG-like behavior with how the cubes land sometimes, but not both cubes will go through the portal, in which case you have to go in and get the other cube, and that loses some time, and there's not a whole lot you can really do about it. Blenderiste going for a strategy I haven't seen done yet, actually, in this tournament, where he's actually going to shoot to the end of the map and go into the room where that turret is to activate the end. He did it a little awkwardly. I don't think he intended to get on top of those panels, but he successfully did it. Nonetheless, it's a tough trick. Let's see BSS going for another safe route on laser chaining. Blenderiste now on Chapter 5, Turret Factory. This is a map that's pretty much entirely movement. It's supposed to be very dark here, but we allow a command that is effectively full bright to be used at this point because different people have different monitors, and some monitors don't do very well with the darkness of this level. So to put everyone on an even playing field, we allow full bright for this run.
Federal regulations require me to warn you that this next test chamber...
But this map that Blenderiste is on is pretty much entirely movement. There's not really a whole interesting that's done here that's different from a casual playthrough, other than just moving quickly.
I've got a surprise surprise for you.
All right, we got BSS or base driven.
Tragic surprise like last time.
Getting finished with these first sets of, or this first set of tests.
What's going on?
He's going for a more straightforward route where he just goes and basically does the intended route of activating the trigger by going across the bridge and then running to the exit. Blenderiste on turret sabotage, he skips that part there by being able to see. And Blenderiste gets a really well-timed turret there. All of the turrets in that part of the game in this mod are defective turrets to remove the RNG from that part of the run. And so he's able to use portal bumping basically to get into that room more quickly, and he does that by placing a portal on the side of a portal he's already placed, and the game will automatically put it next to the portal, which in this case was inside the room. It's a weird trick to explain, but it's a straightforward trick to see in action, you know. BSN, or base-driven, I'm sorry. Base-driven, not taking that route that Blenderiste did for good reason. It's a difficult route, and it only really saves time if you do it quite well. Not a whole lot of people really go for it. Blenderiste on neurotoxin sabotage now. One of the significant changes about this map that was done in the mod is there are a lot of panels that you can use to cut the tubes to the neurotoxin generator. And so in full game, in the vanilla game, it's quite, this is a really cycle-driven map, or is in this version. There are still cycles, but they don't matter quite as much because they're really, really close to one another. And base-driven, just moving through this map as quickly as he can. So, to Bride, the cutscene with Wheatley is removed, this version of the game, so he's straight onto this, and there's a lot of change to this map. The trapdoor never opens, it starts open at the beginning of this map, and basically anything that would require you to wait is removed, which is most of the map that Blenderiste is on. So, the map would normally take several minutes to complete. Now it takes just maybe 30 seconds or so. And this is Blenderiste getting into Chapter 6 now. He falls straight into this map rather than going through the entire fall cutscene.
Turret redemption lines are not rides. Please exit the turret redemption line.
Yeah, Blenderiste is able to shoot pretty far away there. And he skips quite a big portion of this map, and then he does this shot where he skips running through that chasm there by shooting on a portal surface that's at the end of the map, and then he completes this quick puzzle with the buttons. Base-driven did not get the turret. He decided to wait for it. The alternative to that is it is possible to shoot through the top of certain doors. The doors that you see in this section of the game that aren't in test chambers, that are used for the behind-the-scenes type maps, you can shoot through the top of. And so that's an option for this. Neither racer here went for that route, but it's a ridiculously precise shot. Blenderiste here is able to skip the elevator and the room where you meet Cave Johnson by shooting around this wall here. And it's a tricky shot. You jump out over the goo to shoot it, and then you strafe back. But by doing this, you can, you can go right up to the top of the elevator. Here he does a reportal with the script momentum glitch, which basically the game gives you exactly the right amount of momentum to land on the exit catwalk that goes into the gel room to make sure that you don't miss that jump when you do it in a casual playthrough. And Blenderiste can abuse this combined with a reportal to get to that pipe that he bounced off of to get to the exit more quickly. And so here, Blenderiste is going to go for that button save. He's quite motivated to do it, so we should see it. A lot of runners will just go for it once, and if they miss it, then they won't bother. But here he gets it, so the door is open.
There's some sort of control room. There's our handiwork. I shouldn't laugh, really. They do feel
And
of a sort. It's all simulated.
so now Blenderiste is going to be able to likely skip the first part of this puzzle by using some creative placement of portals and the blue gel. So you get an advantageous flame into this room. His frames are going a little bit again, but it is at least somewhat watchable. And base driven going into core, which is the last level really in that major section of the game. There was a new route discovered on this map that Blenderiste is on. I haven't actually seen anyone go for it, but I did see that the route exists. It looks like he's not going to do it. It doesn't save a whole lot of time, so if you're not used to doing it, it probably isn't worth doing because it's a little bit tricky. But you see there, it's pretty close to the intended solution. What Blenderiste there did, he just used some creative combinations of flames. BSS got launched the wrong direction. Usually you can land on an angled surface at the bottom there to get yourself a flame in the right direction, but base driven got a less advantageous launch. It's quite unfortunate. Blenderiste skipped the first two puzzles of this level by just getting an angle on a portal surface he wasn't supposed to be able to see. And then he can skip the end of this puzzle by flinning. Flings like that are possible because of something called portal funneling, or at least a lack thereof, I guess. For the game, normally, if you're falling into a portal, it will center you over the portal so that you don't miss it. However, there's a setting that you can change that we do often in runs that disables that feature so that we can enter portals at really, really strange angles and, by extension, exit them at really strange angles. Blenderiste used something called a portal helper. I'm a little bit late to that one, but it was a feature used earlier in the game as well, a column blocker that basically some portal surfaces have portal helpers on them. So if you shoot near that portal surface on another surface parallel to it, the game will just simply place your portal. It will correct your portal placement for you. And so you can use that to shoot portal surfaces that you didn't actually shoot. Basically anywhere the game... Oh, and Blenderiste gets that reportal. It's a little tricky. Bunny hops and reportals. He's able to get a shot all the way to the end of the sphere. It just works out that that's possible. There's not really any mechanic that's abused in order to do that. So here he's going to put blue gel on a tilted platform or a tilted panel and jump really quickly to get a lot of speed and to stack a lot of blue gel jumps on top of each other. He went up a little higher than he was supposed to. Ideally, you go straight into the elevator from that, but it can happen that you get launched quite high, and that's what happened there. Base driven now on repulsion intro, so we'll see what he does for that. Blenderiste is going to do a skip. He's going to skip the gel pump room here as well by jumping on this beam here and getting over to this office that normally you would need to fling to from a previous puzzle. Base driven going with the intended route here. As you saw, Blenderiste, when he was on that chamber, shot over the emancipation grid and used a portal surface inside the chamber to get over there faster, and base driven opted against doing this. Yeah, base driven basically doing it intended. Blenderiste now getting a reportal to get himself enough height to get to the exit platform without completing the puzzle. From this point, it looks like both players are going to be doing something that's close to the intended route for both of their respective chambers. Base driven doing effectively the intended route for this chamber, and Blenderiste doing the intended route here. It is possible to use a reportal to complete Blenderiste chamber slightly faster, but it's rarely something people will go for. So it saves very little time, and it's quite difficult to hit. Here we're going to see a trick that's really only used. Well, it can be used in other places, but it's only commonly used on this map. Most runners will do this, where you can trick the game into thinking that you're falling when you're not, and because of that, the game will accelerate your velocity without you actually accelerating downwards because you're stuck on something. And because of this, you can get a lot of downward speed when you release from the object you're stuck on. And then when you use the blue gel in conjunction with that, you can get extremely high flames. Base driven, just finishing that up. And Blenderiste just used a pipe that had blue gel in it to actually bounce up to the top of that door. The blue gel is on the inside of the pipe, but the pipe is still bouncy despite this. It works out quite well for speedrunning. Base driven doing the same shot Blenderiste did earlier in the game. So Blenderiste now in the late game section. Starting off chapter 8. This is another map that's pretty heavily affected by the speedrun mod because there's a cutscene coming up here that is skippable without the speedrun mod, and you have to do the cube throw that it looks like Blenderiste is going to go for, and he gets it, and so that would skip the cutscene, but there is no cutscene in this, so he just saved a little bit of time by getting the cube throw. It's really only something people go for because it's something we're all used to doing from full game, so otherwise it wouldn't really be worth doing. It would just not be something people practice enough. And Blenderiste has to complete this chamber twice, and there's really no way to get around that. You can see Base Driven getting that portal helper placement, so he can actually shoot on the other side of that wall because the game decided to correct his portal placement, which it thought was slightly off of where it was supposed to be, and so it put it on that portal surface. Blenderiste getting a fly glitch here. This is used a lot in the levels with funnels in them, where by crouching and jumping, actually I'm not positive that jumping is necessary. It's kind of a finicky glitch, but by crouching and jumping inside of a funnel while being perfectly still, you can actually fly. And I feel like there's a misconception with the fly glitch that it makes the game, that it's kind of cheaty, which of course is partially what speedruns are largely about, is just exploiting the game to be fast. But fly glitches does not necessarily make the game easier to play. You have no vertical control of your character, and so if you jump, you'll just go straight up. If you go too fast, you'll lose all ability to control which direction you're going, and you'll just go in one direction until you hit a wall, which is really bad. And so a lot of the time it's actually faster to not have fly, but in these maps that Blender is playing, it is very helpful to have the fly glitch. And so you can see Blender getting through these first few chambers of Chapter 8 by using this fly glitch to get around. Really, it's mostly just to avoid using the funnel to get across the gaps. That's really the main places where it's used, because it is faster to fly yourself. Base Driven getting the flame. He got the same high flame that Blender did, which is a little unfortunate. It loses a couple seconds to get that. And so Blenderiste now going to enter a funnel. Oh, he lost his fly. Not entirely sure what happened there. It looks like he's trying to load a save to get it back, because this is a chamber that is you really need fly for. He got it. All right. By entering a funnel here, you'll lose your fly, provided you loaded and saved beforehand, which he of course did because he transitioned between levels since he got his fly glitch and funnel intro. So he no longer has fly. This is on purpose, as these next couple chambers are actually faster to do without the fly glitch. Portal grates, or I guess the grates that Blender is shooting at, actually are portable surfaces, although they're not intended to be. The flag was just never set for them, I guess, for them not to be portable surfaces because you can shoot through them. So the developers must have figured it did not matter, but it turns out it is possible to get a portal onto the surface by shooting the very edge of it. And as you can see, he abuses that here to get the cube very quickly. And base-driven, just finishing up conversion intro. And we can hear the lemon quote. This is a very popular quote. Just in general, a lot of people really like this quote, both in and out of the speedrunning community. Blenderiste getting that cube without having to use the bridge to block the cube, and then opts for a slightly slower strategy to get to the exit. It is possible to jump to the exit from a portal surface, so you have to jump over a gap to do this, and it is possible to mess it up. Base-driven going for an interesting route. It looks like he's going to just go for a full flame to make sure he doesn't miss that. It's a little slower to do, but it is safer. Blenderiste getting his fly glitch back. It would actually be faster to leave this chamber without the fly glitch, but it makes the next chamber so much easier having the fly glitch that it's worth taking a slightly slower route to make sure you keep the fly glitch going into this map here. Blenderiste, I guess, he had some muscle memory where he tried to hop, but as I said earlier, if you do jump with the fly glitch, you will just go straight up as he did there, and so you can't actually bunny hop. The fastest way to move around while you have to walk across the ground with fly is to AD spam, where you hold forward and spam your strafe keys back and forth. It's slightly faster than just walking. You can see on his Blender has actually his controls up, so you can see him do this when he walks around with fly. He lost fly glitch though by entering this tunnel, or the funnel. I'm sorry. And base-driven trying to get the stuck launch. It looks like he messed it up, and yeah, he did not quite stay stuck for long enough to get that. So Blender going to try a fling here, where he's going to jump into his blue portal at a very awkward angle with portal funneling off to get a really strong horizontal boost out of the orange portal that actually flings him to the end without having to complete the puzzle. Base-driven struggling to stay stuck here. It looks like he might get it though. Looks like he's got it. He went for a safe route where he gets a lot of speed and gets up here. Blender didn't do this, I don't believe. He just launched up high enough that he could see the portal surface he needed to get to. It's a little riskier if you miss it, but it is faster. Blender grabbing fly to exit this chamber quickly, and he's going to now crouch to lose fly. In a normal run, not on speedrun mod, you would keep fly going into this so that you can skip the long trip to go to the part where he kills you. But speedrun mod speeds up the funnel here and makes it actually faster to take these faith plates than to fly across the space. And now we have base-driven going into Chapter 8. Alright. So yeah, Blenderiste is going through this quite quickly. Normally you would have to do some waiting, but speedrun mod avoids this.
It's literally your only purpose. Walking onto How can you not do the one
Blender missed that shot. It is faster than doing intended. You don't have to follow the entire walk. You can jump from this railing to get this fling a little bit earlier. The fling itself, though, is the same fling that you would do in a casual playthrough.
12 hours and you haven't solved it either, so I don't know why you're laughing.
Base-driven, opting out of the cube throw, which is not the worst idea. It saves very little time, and it's quite easy to mess up.
All the time. Or I get this itch, you know? It must be hardwired.
So this chamber's already there for Blenderiste to go through. He doesn't have to wait like he would in a normal game. And so now he's going to go get fly glitch. This is something you would in a normal run already have, but because we removed it for the Finale 1 map, he has to get it again here. So he uses this funnel to grab fly.
Okay, new tests.
And now Blenderiste has a couple options for how he wants to handle this next section of the map. So we'll see what he decides to do. I feel like he's likely going to go for the riskier strategy. Yep. So he's going to try to go past these turrets quickly. Oh, he's going to bait the turrets. Okay, so the advantage to doing this is the turrets, when they stop looking for you, there actually is some time it takes them to go from not looking for you to looking for you again. And so he takes advantage of that time to strafe past them. It's possible to do without baiting them, but it's a lot harder and much riskier, because if you mess it up, you'll die. Base Driven got his flag glitch from Funnel Intro and is now going to do, I assume, will be a similar, if not exactly the same route to what Blenderiste did. And it looks like he needs to go for another shot at that button. Blenderiste just flying through this map, and he uses a behind that wall to get himself the downward momentum he needed to jump off of a surface and get to the funnel. And by going through the funnel, he loses his flag glitch again. And so now he enters the boss fight. Yeah, doing the boss fight with flag glitch would be challenging, to say the very least. I think it's possible, but it would not be fast. So that's a good example of somewhere where you don't want the flag glitch at all, because you have no vertical control. It would probably be faster for just a casual run through than to trying to complete it with flag glitch. So the boss fight doesn't have any super dramatic skips. It is possible to preserve bombs between phases of this boss fight, but it doesn't save a whole ton of time on speedrun mod, so it's not something that people often go for. But you do still have to put all 3 cores on Wheatley here. But there's no way around this. So timing ends at the last input, and the last input of Portal 2 is when you shoot the moon. So, as you can see, Blenderiste's timer is not running. He should be timing it with demos, and so we'll get a time from him. We'll get a time from him later, after his run completes. Finish? All right. Yeah, time your demos and let me know what you got, or unless you put that in here already. Yeah. Base Driven going for a different route than Blenderiste did. Yeah, he's doing what is really basically the intended route. If you're inconsistent with the shot on the grade, it's really just as fast to do this. So this is an understandable decision. Blenderiste going for an early moonshot. I can't tell if he got it. It doesn't look like he did. Oh no, he did. And so this will end your timer more quickly, because the last input is the moonshot, so the sooner you get the last input in, the faster your timer will end. So Blenderiste finished. We'll be getting a time from him shortly. He just needs to time his demos. So Base Driven, unfortunately behind his PB. I'm not sure by how much, but we will see. Michelle.
I'm going to tape you solving these and then watch 10 at once. Get a more sort of concentrated burst of science.
All right, Base Driven going for that flag glitch. He'll probably do just about the same routes that you saw Blender do for the rest of the game. Most of the more difficult strategies are behind him at this point. So everyone does similar routes here. You can see an example of flag glitch kind of hurting the player, where he is going up and he missed the pipe, so he has no way to stop himself from continuing to go up into the sky, and he didn't have a great save, so he basically has to repeat this chamber. So flag glitch isn't always the best thing. It is helpful for speedruns, but it can definitely hurt you. Okay. Okay.
Was self-destructing, already fixed.
So base driven here presses the button twice to give himself time to get the cube. It is actually very difficult to get the cube with only one button press, I find. So pressing it twice is extraordinarily helpful.
Let's keep moving. Sorry about the lift, it's out of service because it melted. Might as well, give you the tour. To your left, you'll see some
It is possible to actually leave the funnel there, go basically around this and skip this entire part really, and go straight into here. The problem with that is when you do this, your screen will turn black, and so you are blind in doing the trick. So if you're not very familiar with how the trick's done, it's impossible to recover. You have to load an old save.
ready for you. Obviously, who else would I be doing it for? No one.
Here, base driven decides to actually do a flag glitch route, which is this is the route that's actually done in full game. And there's Blender's time 37:18, which is not terrible, not bad. Yeah, that's the way that full game's done. It's different in Speedrun mod because you don't actually have to wait for the chamber exit to construct itself like you would in full game.
He's not even trying to be subtle anymore. Or maybe he still is, in which case, wow, that's kind of sad.
Only 3 more chambers to your big surprise.
Okay. Here we see base driven going for the flag glitch route. There's not really an alternative route here. He didn't get the flag glitch, which unfortunately that happens quite often, I find. At least for me, it happens a little more often than I'd like, where you'll think you got the flag glitch and you think you did all the inputs correctly, but sometimes it just won't work. And it looks like base driven has a really awkward save here. All right. Yeah, it's usually advisable for this reason to save before you enter this funnel, because now he has to back out of it. But saving is something that when you run this game, you make a big habit of, because it's the best recovery to messing up a serious trick. And so a lot of runners save quite often, and if it's hard to break that habit if you need to not save during some section. So we have base driven entering chapter 9 here. What do you guys think he's gonna get? What do you think his time's gonna be?
Dying to know what your big
I'm gonna see some
surprise
guesses.
is. Only 2 more chambers.
And actually I can check here.
We're doing it now.
Base driven's his personal best is a 46:40. He is behind that though. I don't know how much time save he has that he can make up here.
This is the bomb. Where'd you go? No, seriously, do come back. Please, come back, please.
So
Okay. Look,
we'll see what happens.
I'm not gonna kill you. Okay.
Let's see if he decides to do the same cut that Blender did here.
Just thinking back to the old
He does opt against it. It is a little bit tricky. It is easy to fall off or not shoot the portal surface. Blender actually messed this up when he did this trick.
to those that can't help but notice
So
that you're not coming back.
it's not free. It's far from it.
I've got an idea.
All right. And there he goes on to finale 2.
Ha! Death trap! Something breaks back there. Oh, ha! Was that your bullet, riddle bullet flying out of the room? It was, oh, those were the crap turrets, weren't they? Yeah.
All right.
No matter, because I'm still holding all the cards. And guess what? They're all
So he does decide to kill the turrets here. It's really just a guarantee that nothing goes wrong. If you're a little bit slow getting out of the chamber, then they could have time to kill you. But he grabs flag glitch here just like Blender did, and he's now going to use that to go over to this catwalk. If you are familiar with the full game, you would know that there is a section that is skipped in doing this, where Wheelie tries to smash you with a big spike plate. This is something that you can skip though with flag glitch. Base driven does a safer route where he doesn't go by the turrets. It's not much slower, and it's the route I personally prefer. Because it's really quite difficult to mess up, provided you drop regular saves. And base driven uses portals to get to the end of the hallway a little bit faster. This map is reasonably straightforward. You do fly through it, so you don't exactly do it like a casual playthrough, but there's nothing horribly ridiculous about what's done here. He just enters this room and uses portals to get to the other side of it.
I'll take that as a no then.
All right. And so base driven now going into the boss fight. And so we'll see how this goes. It's definitely, it's definitely possible for him to PB. He is ahead. So I guess he had a lot of time save. It's absolutely possible to complete this chamber in less than 2 minutes. So we'll see what happens. All right. So we'll see how he handles this. I don't remember if Blender did this. Jump on the fence here. He decides to do it. And he falls off. But the advantage of doing this is when you pick up the core, it launches you off away from Wheatley, making it, so you lose time trying to get back to him. If you jump off the fence and then grab him, though, you won't get that fling, and you'll go right towards Wheatley. All right. So yeah, he goes through the standard procedure of getting this core. There's not usually too creative you can do with that. All right, let's see what he does here. He decides to go with the intended route where you use this orange gel. The orange gel does take some time to drop, though. So it is a little bit faster to do the flame that Blender did. But you're unlikely to mess up the orange gel. By spamming a portal at this position, it will actually, well, it didn't work for him there, but it will usually stay on the ground despite the gel washing away. And so he's not going to really be in a great position to do the early moonshot. But that's fine. This cutscene here is shortened by the speedrun mod, so you lose less time for not getting it. Looks like Blender is just practicing Ricochet over there. Yeah, base driven finishes with 46:27, which it says is behind, so I suppose the speedrun.com time frame is not up to date. So he didn't PB, but he got what must be one of his better times because the PB he got must have been quite recent. Yeah, so well done to both runners. Let me see if we're going in for another match. Or another race, I guess. All right. Looks like we're going to do another one. It's going to be going another race. These matches are best of 3. You can see underneath each racer's stream there is there's a counter. Blender has one highlighted as he won this first race. So Blender's going to be handling the countdown like he did with the other race. All right. I think that was Base-Driven's computer. So you guys don't have to worry. It's common for speedrunners of this game to restart their game in between runs. It's because the more times you load a new map or a new save in one session, the longer it takes. So to avoid this, resets are done in between runs so that we don't have to wait for as long during loading screens. Time, in case you ever noticed, this is game time that we time for this category. Loads are not included, but no one wants to wait through longer load screens, so we restart the game for that purpose anyway. This mod also has a built-in function that will make load times faster. I think it's done by removing the fade animation that's done in between the different pictures you get during the loading screen. There is a plugin that a lot of speedrunners use for timing that has a command that can do this as well, but it's done automatically in the speedrun mod. Okay, hopefully everyone's timer is going to work for this race. I'd imagine Blender hopefully fixed his. So I'll talk about some strategies again, in case there's anyone new who didn't see the last race. Hopefully Blender's stream is a little bit less laggy this time. I think he restarted his stream. So hopefully we can see what he's doing a little bit more clearly this race.
Aperture Science Enrichment Center. The portal will open.
All right, I don't think they're actually starting yet.
Testing will begin in 3, 2, 1.
Because Blender's countdown thing requires that both players be on the first map in order to work. So they'll load this. It looks like on Base-Driven's screen, Blender is a can of beans. I don't know what Base-Driven is on Blendery's screen. We didn't see that a whole lot because they were rarely in the same map, which is probably going to be the case for a lot of the races. So it's pretty easy to just lose 30 seconds randomly, and then that's enough to not really be on the same map a lot of the time with your opponent. Okay, I think they're starting.
Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Enrichment Center. The portal will open.
All right,
Emergency
go for it
testing will
again.
begin in 3, 2, 1.
A little tidbit, I guess. I can talk about the smaller time saves here this race. Both runners you see jump on the button as they pass through here. This is because the facility is supposed to be broken down and not functioning very well. The game sets it up so that the door takes a couple seconds to open after you put the cube on the button. This is obviously not optimal.
Liquid running down your neck. Relax.
Blenderies seem to stop there. That's interesting. This isn't optimal, so by jumping on the button on the way through, the timer there can actually start for the door to open, so that when you put the cube on the button, the door will open immediately and you can get out of the chamber more quickly. So fun fact there. We can actually see the ghosts. You see on Blendery's screen there's a turret jumping around that should be base-driven in his position. I don't know. Oh, and they're neck and neck right now. On Blender, it is a really fun feature. Same map, it's pretty funny. You see Blendery gets a good boost. He kind of went in a weird direction, but he recovered it quite well. And Base-Driven does as well. He gets a good boost. Oh, and you can see Blenderiste hopping around on base-driven screen there. That's pretty funny. I like that a lot. But nothing too special about this map.
Some
Oh,
emergency testing
so
may require prolonged interaction
unfortunate
with
for
the
base-driven there, a little
Rest
movement
assured
flop.
that all lethal military androids have
There you can
been
see Blenderiste using flaning the cube onto the button, except he actually messes it up, which is that's unfortunate. That doesn't mess up too often, but occasionally you can get kind of unlucky.
in the face of almost
And he
certain
clips
death.
the
Smooth
cube to the
jazz.
door again, and now we have base-driven doing the same thing.
Two.
He did not mess that up. Oh, but he didn't get the cube through the portal, so he lost some time in that second chamber there. Blender is now advancing to cube momentum,
Door is now open.
and we'll see if yeah, now we can see a little bit more clearly what he's doing, where he gets this portal stand and then shoots underneath the cube and grabs it out of midair. Except he misses the grab. It's an unfortunate recovery because the only way to do this is to do what he's doing, which is to go and get it and then portal stand back up.
Center is currently being bombarded with fireballs, meteorites,
It's not
or
terrible.
objects from
Most of the time loss that you'll
space.
see
Unsheltered testing
is
areas
later in the
where
game.
lack of shelter from space debris does not appear to
And
be a
base-driven
part of the test.
has a much better cube momentum than he did last run, if I remember
Although
correctly.
circumstances may appear bleak, you are not alone.
Yeah, but most of the potential time loss in the game is not in Chapter 1, so
This next
comparing
test
your
involves the principles of momentum
time
to
or
movement.
your current pace to your PB's pace doesn't usually mean a whole lot early in the game,
God help you.
because none of your significant time loss or time save has happened yet. Base-driven messes up that grab, though. Recovers it all right, though.
Employee who has discovered this facility amid the ruins of
And so
Welcome.
Blender's just going to move quickly through a secret panel here.
And the future starts
Nothing too
you.
special being done here. Yeah, in normal game, it is actually possible to skip the Wheatley cutscene, even without speedrun mod. But this is done with an extraordinarily precise shot through the top of a door that I was talking about earlier on turret sabotage in Chapter 5.
That said, if you are simple
That trick can be used as well there.
radiated in such a way that
I'll talk a little bit about cutscenes that are being skipped and whether they're possible to skip or not in full game
to ensure
for this race.
power remains for core testing protocols. All safety devices have
But obviously, this map that Blenderiste is on has a very long cutscene that
about this policy.
is skipped. Instead of riding this up and waking up GLaDOS, he can just jump in there. We saw the last race as well. But yeah, these are some of the not as interesting chambers. Base-driven now coming through secret panel. It's possible on Incinerator there, when you drop in on Speedrun mod, to actually get an interesting boost across to the other side of that room without having to do it the way you normally would. But it's not something that runners go for often because it's difficult and risky. Blenderiste using portal stands to get around the map a little quicker there. Base-driven having some pretty good hops there, actually, going into the map. An important thing, I talked a little bit about how to go and be sent off one direction without being able to change it. And the reason this is because if you travel at over 300 velocity, which you can tell, there are numbers in the top left of both screens, and this gives them information like what direction they're looking and how fast they're going. We can't really see it here, but it's quite small text. Anyway, the velocity there will tell you how fast you're going, and if you are over 300 velocity, you have no control over what direction you're going until you slow down.
Completely burned when you threw them down.
So when bunny hopping, this can be done by just stopping your hops and staying on the ground for longer and letting friction do the job. But when flying, that isn't an option, and so there's no way to recover that.
Luckily, we haven't started testing yet. This will be our only chance to talk. But the important
Yeah, and you can see in all the elevators are a lot faster in Speedrun Run, which is nice. And the elevator fades into the next map within about a second of you entering. In normal game, you have to actually time when you enter the elevator relative to the dialogue, and Blenderiste gets that very difficult trick first try. It looks like that was good. Was it first try? I don't know if that's happy or sad. I was looking at base-driven screen. He does actually... Oh, all right. He gets the fling. But yeah, there's a lot of timing that's done with dialogue at various places in the game where you'll deliberately wait at a certain place so that you time well with dialogue.
This next test involves
so that
discouragement redirection.
the ending dialogue ends quicker and then the map will fade earlier. This isn't something you have to worry about in Speedrun mod at all, which is really quite nice because it feels quite weird just standing and waiting and not moving while you're speedrunning.
You are a horrible person.
Yeah, first try wet maker. That trick is called wet maker. A lot of the tricks that I don't have super sensible names in the Portal 2 speedrunning community. And I only know a handful of them. But that one is called wet maker, and then there's wet maker junior, which
Most people
trick.
emerge from suspension terribly.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely we're going to see much changes to the routes people use. It is possible that Blenderiste will change his route on turret sabotage, depending on what cycle he gets, but that's the only instance I can think of where someone will do something different than they did last race.
These test chambers faster than I can build them.
Blenderiste in the chat while racing, that's a lot of skill there.
Do whatever it is you
And he gets that first try this time. He struggled a lot with that before, so he'll save a lot of time. I'm beginning to notice, it looks like his timer is only recording, well, I'm sure his timer is recording his full game time, but we can't seem to see it.
listening to me.
So
For the record, you don't
we're only
have
going to be
do
seeing
that.
the individual chamber times, I guess, on Blenderiste, which is fine. Blenderiste using portals to just redirect the laser towards the node. Normally you would need to go back there and use cube to redirect it, but it's quite easy to just exploit the design flaws of that chamber and do it that way.
Science aerial faceplate. It was part of an initiative to investigate how well test subjects
What was that? That might have been the super reportal strategy.
into space. Results
If you're talking about the pit flames thing that Blenderiste did.
Good luck. Here's an interesting fact.
Yeah, there's a super reportal on pit flames. It's pretty new. It's there's strategies I've seen on bomb flames and laser over goo as well. That, but I've only really seen people go for the pit flames one and a little bit of laser over goo.
Well, have fun soaring through the
Never
air
seen it.
to
It's
learn
a
more.
great strategy. It's actually
Entirely of glass.
I think it's easier than the triple reportal, and it's just about as fast.
By myself.
So I'm going to be doing it in my race, which is in like 2 hours. It's less than that actually.
Oh, sorry. I'm still cleaning out the test chambers. So sometimes
Um,
there's still trash in them.
All right, so got Blenderiste going for Ricochet.
Smelling and being useless.
Some people have a lot of trouble with this map, for good reason. It requires quite precise timing, but
Remember
Blenderiste gets it
before
without
I was
an issue there.
talking about smelly garbage standing around being useless? Did you know that people with guilty
All right.
consciences are more easily startled by
And
loud
we got
noise?
Base driven going into pit flames, and he's gonna
Why that went
do
wrong.
the same
Anyway,
reportal
just an interesting science
that he did
fact.
last run. But only one reportal, and so now he's going to try and shoot up there. It's an odd route. It's not one I see often. Yeah, I would recommend learning that pit flames route for sure. It's it did not take me long to learn, and it's way easier. And the backup to it is basically the same as the backup to the
Every test
triple
chamber is
reportal, so you don't
equipped
lose
with
anything
an
there.
observation grill at its exit, so that test subjects cannot smuggle.
All right. So now we got Blenderiste going here. I'll switch to his audio.
Plastifiez votre squelette et vous accrochez à l'accueil. Ainsi, les générations
Oh.
futures pourront éviter
That's in French. I'll switch back because this is the English. This is the English channel. I think Blenderiste is in fact French, though. Blenderiste going for the difficult bridge the gap route. He messes it up, but didn't get the reportal there. French saves 10 ticks. Absolutely.
What happened, right? I was just lying there. You thought I was.
Anyway, base driven again. It is possible to, and I imagine Blenderiste at least went for the trick. I didn't see if he got it on the chamber that base driven's on now. Where you can abuse the fact that because if you're going through a portal that's on the ceiling, your camera will go through the portal before your
Sailing through the air just
actual player does. And so because of that, you can shoot a portal, you can shoot your exit portal basically before you pass through your entrance portal, if that makes any sense. And so you can use that to basically change where your destination portal is last second. It's really only used on that map and It's something that neither player got last round. I didn't see if Blenderiste got it now though.
It's a beautiful day out. Yesterday,
Here we got Blenderiste going for this trick real quick. It's a little awkward, but it's not too bad.
Ride an elevator all the way up to the break room.
Let's see how Base Driven does this ricochet.
The time I saw a deer again.
Oh, he misses the cube, but gets the flame. That's getting the cube is the easy part. So that's unfortunate. It's definitely tough getting the flame though. So hopefully he gets it again here. Oh, that might have been, yeah. I think he hit the cube actually there. That was odd.
Ride an elevator all the way up to the break room.
It's quite
And I'll
unfortunate
tell you
there.
about the time I saw a deer again.
Oh, that looked good. Oh, he misses the cube again, man. That's tragic. Blenderiste now on this map, which is, as I said, basically just the most basic map in the game for a speedrunner. There's nothing really different about this versus your casual playthrough, other than the fact you're just bunny hopping. Hopefully Base Driven gets this soon. Yeah, this is exactly why a lot of people don't, is because it's every attempt, you know, at this trick takes several seconds to do. It's a long trick, so if you mess it up, you lose a lot of time to the failed attempt, in ways that you don't in other shorter tricks. Blenderiste doing this, and there is always the possible case on Blenderiste that the cube doesn't land on the button, and when that happens, you have to basically redo the chamber, which is, it doesn't happen often, but it's really quite frustrating when it does. Blenderiste, as much as I like French, I would feel bad having people come to the English channel and then listening to French dialogue.
You ride an elevator all the way up to the break room, and I'll tell you about the time I saw a deer again.
All right. Blenderiste getting the reportal on column blocker there, where he can get across that gap, and he did. Base Driven still struggling on a ricochet. Hopefully he gets it soon. I don't remember him having much trouble on this last race. He's getting some very strange timing.
You ride an elevator all the way up to the break room, and I'll tell you about the time I saw a deer again.
All right, and yeah, Blenderiste going for the same safe strat that he did
Ride an elevator all the
last
way
race.
up to the break room, and I'll tell you about the time I saw a deer again.
Which is, you know, same old, nothing too special there.
That you ride an elevator all the way up to the break
Man, Base Driven is having a hard time here.
saw a deer again.
I think this is probably unusual for him. It seems like he's placing the portal a little bit too far to the right, since he's not really in line to pick it up, and he misses it a lot.
I saw a deer again.
At this point, it would almost, well, I'm sure it would have been faster for him at this point to do intended, but he's committed now, so it's hard for him to revert. Blenderiste gets this trick now, where he gets out of this room a couple seconds faster.
All the way up to the break room, and I'll
Ricochet is inconsistent. I mean, if you get comfortable with the timing, it can be, at least I think it's one of the more consistent tricks in the game, to be honest, just because of the timing's the same every time. But it's definitely one of the harder ones to make consistent.
That you ride an elevator all the way up to the break room, and I'll tell you about the time I saw a deer again.
Let's see if he finishes it here.
That you ride an elevator all the way up to the break room, and I'll tell you about the time I saw a deer again.
Oh, and Blenderiste going for this trick again. I have massive respect for anyone who does this, because it doesn't save a ton of time, and it's hard.
Some humans.
So you gotta have some confidence doing this trick. Okay. I think Base Driven wants to forfeit, it looks like, after that ricochet.
These are made from natural light that I pulled from the surface. If you rubbed your cheek
So,
on, it would be like
I don't know if you've seen this happen yet, so
on your face.
but let me see if I can get the
Also set your hair on fire, so don't actually.
I don't know if Blender. I think Blender is listening to the commentary. So just so you know, Blender, base-driven did decide to forfeit. So let's see. I mean, they're both still running, so.
And these tests are your prey. Speaking of which, good news.
We'll see what
I figured
happens
out
here.
what to do with all the
But they're
money
still
I
going,
saved
so.
recycling your one room full of air. When you die, I'm going to laminate your skeleton and pose you in the lobby. That way future generations can learn from you how not to have your unfortunate bone structure.
All right.
Well done. In fact, you did so well, I'm going to note this on your file.
Okay.
In the commendation section. Oh. This next...
So I guess I'll mark that. Okay, so I think we're going to be doing some post-match interviews. Okay.
Wow, that was weird.
Hello. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Oh. I don't know if I need to mark Blenderiste as finished for him to get an invite. I'll do that.
You didn't need to do that.
Yeah, I did that. Man, that was an unfortunate ricochet because it looked like you had it a lot of the time.
I had it actually. I think it was most of the times, and I don't know why, but it just would not grab the cube.
Yeah, that was weird because I mean, it did seem like it was a little bit far to the right, but like not so far you couldn't grab it. So that was really odd.
Something like that.
Well,
The first run though, I thought the first one was really nice. Like I kind of kept up with Blender like more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad run. And in your ricochet, I don't think was a problem on that run either.
No, the first run I got a first try.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, that wasn't so bad. And I thought you actually PB'd first run, but I guess your Speedrun.com profile is not updated because
my Speedrun.com profile is it's updated officially, but I got a PB last night while practicing.
Oh, I see.
A
lot of PBs during this tournament. That's been really good.
Well, yeah, I have a 44-45 right now, which is pretty average for runners around my skill level. The thing about it was I was 59 seconds ahead of my PB heading into 3 gels in that first run, and I think you'll note.
Oh yeah.
3 gels killed it. Lost 110 there. So.
Hello.
Hello, Blender.
Hey, Blender.
The French scared me. I knew you ran in French because I remember I watched one of your runs, I think in Celeste mode before.
Yeah,
I just completely forgot.
Yeah, French statistics.
It absolutely
So
does. Yeah.
That's way better to run in French.
I actually started running in French a little bit just for fun. I don't really speak much French, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, Blender, that wasn't not a terrible performance from you either. I don't know how your pace was like on this last run because your timer is cropped incorrectly. It looks like on the stream.
Yeah, I was going for -27.
Oh, that's pretty good. And yeah, you have a high 36, I think. So yeah, you could have gotten.
Yeah,
could have done quite well.
36, 40, no, 53. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I mean that was a pretty good race. Base driven. I'm very sorry about what happened there.
Yeah, I did.
That was unfortunate.
I'm sorry. I had to stop your -27. That's a pretty good run right there.
Yeah. I mean,
no, that's okay.
I mean, I guess you can always go ahead and finish it.
No, let's talk for 1 second, and I'm sorry to comment your interview. Let's talk for a second about these ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Oh, those are really funny.
I couldn't see myself. I could see you,
Yeah.
and I couldn't see myself because I was rendering myself as Chell in the portals. Did it look stupid?
Your
I thought
turret?
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
I thought that was hilarious.
When I see your turrets, if you load the map, you should be able to see you.
The turret was really, especially at the beginning of Portal Gun on this run. You guys were really close, and it looked pretty funny because you guys were hopping right by each other. There was a turret hopping right by on Blenderiste screen.
Can of beans.
I
Yeah,
mean,
the can of beans was good.
intro one if you want to see your turrets.
Yeah, the turret was pretty good.
But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the ghost too. I'm pretty happy it works.
You said you tested this with bets earlier
Yeah,
today?
I tested it yesterday.
Ah.
I
Yeah, I
wasn't
think-
sure if it works.
This could be really good for especially some of the later races because I'm anticipating some of those will
Yeah.
be quite close. So yeah, that should be.
Nice.
I'm
that should be
gonna
good.
I'm gonna change the model. Set model. Turret. It's here. Can you see?
I see a big old error sign, which is funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, this ghost feature. So I mean, I guess you're gonna we'll be using this probably later at the tournament as well.
Yeah, there's also a mode where the maps, the players are synchronized. When if a player load a new map, the game will pause until the previous the other players load the same map.
Very
so so they are always on the same map.
Oh,
Every
really?
time.
I didn't know that. I did
Yeah.
not notice that feature.
But
Oh, that's
I
nice.
didn't really test it. I wasn't sure if it works or not. So
The turret's really funny. I like the turret a lot.
there's other models.
Then
like,
what other models do you have in here? You have
So
there's a shell.
So yeah, this is something that will just for the chat that we'll probably see more in this tournament. So if you come back to watch some more Portal 2 speedrun mod tournaments,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be seeing this ghost feature more often because
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Thank you.
All right, well, I think we're all good for this race. Unless you guys have any closing remarks you want to say.
No, I think that's good. That's okay for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, that was a good race.
The losers bracket.
Thank you, Carden, for commentating.
Yes.
Yeah,
thank
no
you for
problem.
commentating.
And
Lots-
thank you,
lots of fun.
BSSDRVN, for playing.
Yeah, it took me a
That was
while to
fun.
figure out that I remember I looked before I started commentating and decided it was pronounced base driven, but then like
Yeah,
last
you're
second,
correct. You're like the second person on the
Yeah.
planet.
but then like
Oh,
last second I like second guessed myself, so I just started calling you BSS, and then
Base driven.
someone in chat said it was base driven, so then I started to switch. So that was a roller coaster.
Very cool.
I'm gonna call you Bustron.
No, yeah, people do that. I'll respond to
Well.
anything as long as I know you're talking to me. Thanks for
Alright.
commentating.
Thanks you guys for running. Good job. We're gonna be there. I think there is another Portal 2 race happening right now with Zype, who's
Okay.
a challenge mode god. So if you guys are interested,
The Joshua Doodle over on I think SpeedGaming 3.
yeah. So we have that. That's now, and then on no, it's SpeedGaming 4, and then on the same channel, I will be facing someone else who was commentating an earlier race on
be sure
the
to
same
pop by.
channel. So that's Portal 2 for today, though. Next match then after that is on Tuesday. So if you guys are interested, hop on to SpeedGaming 4, and yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Thank you, guys.
See you. Bye.
Bye.